Okay. Good to go. Got my water, notes. Everything it's signing up on YouTube now.
Awesome. So welcome everyone to episode number 11, número 11.
There you go. There you go.
So welcome to the Risk Reward Show presented by RiskReward Media. The Risk Reward Show is where we give you all the tips and tricks to help you find the upside of your career, of your business, of your professional lives. So my name is Cris Mercado. I am Mr. Risk. And we have here
Derrick, aka Mr. Reward, bringing you all of your upside.
That's right. So again, so happy to have an audience to push us to episode number 11. And please, again, subscribe, share, and because it does help the algorithms. And when you help the algorithms for the show, you end up helping the audience members and the general public because they get to see the content that will hopefully help them find the upside in their careers, in their businesses, in their professional lives. So for this episode 11, we have our big main topic, which deals with the future of audio and voice for career branding. But we always open up with a weekly rewind, and we have a large slate for our Risk Reward weekly rewind. So Derrick, let's start with you and a topic that we said that we mentioned in a previous episode, the Coinbase IPO.
Yes. If we had a Risk Reward trophy, I think it would go to the Coinbase IPO. Reason being, so they IPO'd on, I think it was last week, Wednesday. They opened up around I think the price was 380-ish.
381.
381. So at first I was thinking about buying it, but you know what? Let's see what happens, because it did take a dip. But the bigger news is on the opening day, the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, aka Lex Luthor, because he really looks like him. He sold $290 million worth of shares opening day. So I feel like for most people, when they hear that and see that, they're like, oh no, the CEO sold shares, the company's not doing well. Meanwhile, I'm like, that is brilliant. He has $290 million to put into Bitcoin. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not all going there, but I definitely see the upside of him selling his shares, because the I guess the currency that Coinbase, they're using, Bitcoin, Litecoin, all of these coins. But I think the value in the coins that are growing are going to outgrow the value of the actual company. So I see the upside in terms of him selling all of those shares. And just basically being able to kind of repurpose that and put it into this, currency that's still very in its, the baby stage. Therefore, if that 290 million, if he was to put all of that in within the next 5 years, if Bitcoin hits, 100K, I don't know how many X's, but he just 10X, 100X, all of that money. So I think for him to cash out day of at the highest price, genius.
So it's not even, I have a different take on this. It's not brilliant at all. I actually think it's just fiscally responsible.
Okay.
So, you're the company doesn't exist without you. So you started off with all of the equity, and then as your company grew, you got investments from the likes of, let's say, Nas, and Kevin Durant. Those are the early investors, and they're the ones that put up a great deal of risk up front with the money that they put in, right? And the reward for putting up that much risk early on, like that much money and that early, is I get to cash out once you go public, right? So it's fiscally responsible. I believe Kevin Durant's investment is 60-fold. Like it grew 60-fold. And I believe Nas last figure was, I think he's making 100 million from this. So they should cash out at least some of it, because that locks in the gains. And we talk about locking in the gains. So it's not brilliant. It's fiscally responsible. I think Coinbase is a solid company in that it actually has earnings, unlike a lot of tech companies that have these crazy valuations but no earnings. And Coinbase has crazy valuations, so that I put my bid at 320. I didn't get it in time, and I'm okay with letting it go.
Yeah. Same here. So, I mean, you think it's fiscally responsible?
It would have been stupid if he didn't. And that's also why. So it's not him. He's not the only one. Also, a lot
CFO
of like,
too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that just goes to show that we in the public markets, right? We get the crumbs. We always get the crumbs, right? So unless you have that big money and those big connections up front, we're always going to get the crumbs. So if you could find a way to be an early investor in something, like this is why, because your returns are going to be so much greater. But I look at the risk side of this, and if he doesn't do it, then it would be ridiculous if he didn't. And that's the reason why they went to a direct listing, so they could do this.
Yeah.
Because if they went to a traditional IPO, there's this lockup period. It'll extend for a couple months. No insiders can sell shares. So they're there hoping that it's up, but it's still going to be that point where like, oh, I can sell now. And
yeah, I mean, I feel like for them, like they planned it from jump. They was like, we're gonna do a direct listing, and we're just gonna get all of this money back, like right away, first day.
So kudos to them. And since you had mentioned Bitcoin, you had something about Time Magazine.
Yeah, so Time Magazine is going to be accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for you to pay for their subscriptions. I just think this is just a matter of time before a bunch of other companies start to allow people to pay with crypto. Like right now I have Tesla, that's, you're able to buy a car with Bitcoin. Overstock, Home Depot also, I had no idea. And then Whole Foods, they partnered with the twins, the Winklevoss twins, for this app. It's like it's called Spin, but it's spelled like wrong. It has the D before the N. And their Whole Foods, they're working with them now to where people can order their groceries, buying their groceries with like Bitcoin and all that. So it's just a matter of time before you see other companies doing the exact same thing. And I think this is good, just because more companies are going to adapt this new form of currency. But they're working with Grayscale, which is a BTC like fund. And basically they're going to be just providing, videos and tutorials for people on how to, I guess, learn more about the crypto space. And I'm pretty sure they're going to put it in like all of their magazines, probably like an NFT is going to be made from that, like, I'm sure. But my whole point of bringing this up is to make sure that everyone is aware that this is being adopted widely. Once you have buy-in from like companies such as like Time and Home Depot and Whole Foods and stuff like that, especially Tesla, I'm pretty sure all of your little mom and pop shop, well, not like right away, but all of these smaller stores and all of these like smaller corporations are definitely going to start to accept it now. Because if you give me a Bitcoin when it's like 50K, I hold on to it for a year and it's 100K, I made money. So I don't see the point of not, allowing people to pay, knowing that the value of this coin will go up. But on the flip side, it could also drop. So I guess that's where the, like that balance is, or the risk is.
So we're going to see Bitcoin bodega.
Hey, I mean, you have the Bitcoin the ATMs there, so why not?
All right, so let's trademark that so that Bitcoin bodega is ours.
There you go.
Some money while we get that trophy for Coinbase as
Lex
well.
Luthor.
Yeah. um,
How
so
about you?
uh, so
What did you find today? Well, for this week.
yeah, this week was pretty hectic. Just pushing through a lot of things. But one point of relief was I got access to In the Heights, which is a movie coming out from Warner Brothers. June 11th is when it comes out. But I got the plug. So we got the early preview. And for folks who don't know, this is one of the earlier works of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I made a play out of it that was, hidden, and it was foreshadowing of his rise through Hamilton, right? But In the Heights is all about Washington Heights. And we went to school, Derrick, right by Washington Heights. So it has a special place in my heart. It has also probably made my pockets a little bit smaller with all the money I spent on all the various establishments in the Heights. But at the very core of the movie is the culture and the people. And that made me reflect on my business at Grantanswers when we, the early beginnings of it was really my working with Black and Brown high school youth. They came from various areas of the city, but it was mostly like uptown. And what we did is, on the Instagram account, right before the screening, as a lead up to it, I did an IG live with one of the first students I worked with, who now has her master's degree and is a professional out for out in this consulting firm doing compliance. So her story is emblematic of what I see in Washington Heights, which is heavy Dominican population, but it's full of talent, and a lot of times it's under resourced. So because it had personal meaning to me, I wanted to kind of expose folks who lived in Washington Heights. That meant a lot to me and my company. And also, this was a special screening because afterwards there was a Q&A with folks who were in the movie and also behind the scenes, like Lin-Manuel Miranda. And they talked about concerns that are going to be some of our future topics. Imposter syndrome, which we have, addressed, but we haven't made it a main topic. And this idea of being the first, right? So being first gen, being the first across industries. Maybe you're like the only Black or brown person at a company or like in a department. So we're going to talk about that in future episodes. So I thought that introducing In the Heights as a lead in to some of our future episodes would be super helpful. And then there was an announcement by Michelle Obama. So she made an appearance, right? By the way, a lot of people who I gave access to the screening, so I gave select access to some supporters. A lot of people, like, they turned it off right after the movie. And I'm like, wait, there's like 30 minutes left of special content that moviegoers won't see.
Yeah.
And Michelle Obama had the last 5 minutes, and she announced the special partnership between Lin-Manuel Miranda's like Family Foundation with the Posse Foundation. For folks who don't know who the Posse Foundation is, they've been giving access to talented high school youth so that they can go to partner colleges for absolutely free.
That's what's up.
And I think my sense of purpose in terms of the impact I was making in education really started with one person who I helped to win the Posse Foundation scholarship. And then there were a couple more afterwards as well. So kudos to the Posse Foundation for all their work there. I think they're in their like 25th year or somewhere around there, but they've helped so many folks get to college and become amazing professionals. So kudos to them. They got a nice partnership. They're going to expand it to the arts, specifically for arts talent. So if you're a high school junior and you're heavily involved in or interested in arts, keep an eye out for some of these partnerships from the Posse Foundation. But all like high school students, like please have the Posse Foundation on your radar. They could be your ticket to getting to college for free.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I caught like the tail end of your IG live, and exactly like you just said, the Heights is like for me, I was there for 3 years. So that's like a time of my life that I was like, I did so much. I made so much friends and stuff like that. The part when you said you used to go to the underground parties, like that made me laugh. So I was like, there's so many spots.
Yeah. And like you can't get access unless
Yeah.
like and another part of that was I was often like the only Asian person that the students I worked with got to know, right? Because if they were in high school and I was at City College, like they didn't have much exposure to folks who were Asian unless they were in the Chinese restaurants there, right? I was like the first one I got to know. So in a way, there was like this really authentic solidarity and allyship in the work, in my helping them with getting to college and helping them win scholarships. Like that was the solidarity. And then in return, I got some support as well. So as they grew up, they became professionals, and I grew as like a business leader and also immigrant rights leader. Like they were allies to me. So it was just awesome to see, and having a movie to draw to fall back on to was really important.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know you have a special anniversary too.
Yeah. So related to that, and I'm not trying to leak too many things from In the Heights, but there's a scene where it really hit home, where one of the characters realizes that college would be hard because he was undocumented, and he finally in silence he told one of the other characters, and that reminded me of my journey as an undocumented student, and figuring out like, oh, I really can't go to NYU anymore. And that's why I had to rush and apply randomly to City College. And then years later, that story and going into entrepreneurship came to a peak when an article in the Wall Street Journal front page came out with my picture on it. So there is my like this weekend was the 5-year anniversary of that article, and it means a lot to me. It's the first time Grantanswers was mentioned, right? So when you see on the website like as mentioned in, like, yes, and that first mention
that's a fact.
was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. But that was my coming out party as both, trying to do some good things in immigrant rights advocacy, but also letting people know like that I have been in fact impactful, and it is feeding into like my business plan. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
I appreciate that. I'll do some posting on it on LinkedIn. I'm still trying to process everything.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So you want to transition into the main topic?
Yes. So since we were just talking about media and how powerful that is, I think it's time for us to dig a little bit deeper about the rise of voice and audio. So think of podcasts in terms of career branding. Is it a fad, right? Or is it a must for your careers? So Derrick, I wanted to get your take first on this main topic.
Got you. So me personally, I think it is a must. Uh a must because like you mentioned before, voice and audio is like the new thing now. I mean, look at what we're doing. Like this is kind of both. Um maybe not using it for career branding, but for, our personal brand, business brand and stuff like that. Like we're using this medium to get our words out so people know who we are, what we do, and what we like, want to actually do. So for those who are just like starting out, I mean, when it comes to using like social media, I know for the students that I've worked with in like the past, I've always told them, you like use your social media. Like if you have like a video, a little 20-second video, be sure to say like, hey, I'm such and such. This is what I'm doing. Especially for those who are in like the tech space. So walking people through like a project. I mean, you don't have to be on the actual screen, but you can you can talk through it. And as a HR person, if I hear you explain something to where if you're explaining something within like the tech space that I really don't get, but you're breaking it down in such a way that I'm like, oh, like this makes sense. Like I know why you use this, feature over that because you're trying to, get this to happen. Like there's nothing but upside there. Like that, the fact that you're doing that, that's helping your brand out because now you're letting people know that, hey, I'm really trying to get into like this space. This is what I'm about. So I need to, I gotta just, rather than blogging and writing, I mean, there's multiple ways that you can get out there, but voice and audio, I think are the top two ways. One, I feel like when it comes to podcasts, even though they don't see you, but you're in people's ears. Podcasts are being used to when you're just, doing laundry, riding bikes. So if I'm in your ear, while you're just, doing like your, like laundry, I think that's, a great a benefit because I'm, always there. When it comes to video, you have a bunch of people that are starting their own channels. This is how, a channel on this, they have their own videos up. So I mean, there's really only upside that I see when it comes to doing your, I guess your branding through audio and voice. I mean, it really comes into how you want to do it. I want to say if you're not comfortable with being on camera, definitely, go the voice route. But just know that it's going to take some, I mean, for me specifically, I wasn't comfortable with being on camera or even hearing my own voice, but it took me a while to kind of get used to it. So I feel like now I'm very, very comfortable. I do stutter at times, but I think that brings like my own type of flavor. So that always helps out. But I mean, that's just how I feel. And I feel like if you're in the market of looking for a job and you have all of this content that's out, like this is the world of content. This is a social media, digital marketing, like I'm my own personal brand manager type of like world that we're in now. So why not repurpose that rather than sharing, oh, I'm traveling to, Puerto Rico. Why don't I use it for my career branding? Like just kind of switching your tone and basically just using the medium for something different to kind of for a new goal or something like that. But for me personally, I think people should do it. Find out which I guess like which track you like best. For me, I like both. There's certain things that I do where I'm just talking behind like some type of video, or I'm just going through like this is how you would format your resume or something like that. But for a conversation like this, whenever me and you are talking, or we're talking with another person, having that audio, having that video, I think is very, very crucial because people can, we can share screens, we can talk, we can have like, that dialogue and all that. So I think it's very, very helpful for people to be able to use audio and video for their career branding. What's your take on this?
So that makes a lot of sense. I really think that you hit it on the head when you said it's a must going forward. So I'll make that stance pretty clear, right? I think you need to occupy some space within media with your own content. Now, it it could be like video, right? It doesn't have to be just audio voice. But I think you do need to start creating your own content for you to stand out. Before I get into like the risks, I will say that for voice specifically, and when I think about how we consume podcasts, what's a little frustrating is it's passive. And I think, I'm someone who likes to get into the details, and you really can't do that passively listening. So I think what is sacrificed in the entertainment and maybe kind of like this tingling of our curiosities and our imaginations is actual deep dives. Because if you're out running and listening to your favorite podcasts, you're not gonna go and absorb all those goody details, yes. Which actually has informed how we disseminate information on our show. So we're not trying to go incredibly deep, because if you're listening to it passively, we understand that you just want the big picture, and maybe for follow-up, right? We can get into more detailed things. So that's the only thing that I haven't liked about the broader idea of podcasting and voice and the rise of it, right? Now, as far as the main topic, for your own career trajectory, for the chances of you rising up in your profession, hell yes, you need to do something media related in terms of creating your own content. So it is a must. For voice and audio, I think it's the lightest work to do that. Again, because it's generally passive, or it's consumed in a passive way, you don't have to get too detailed. Like 1 or 2 stats to grab people's attention just might be enough. And then big picture points that help, if you're giving advice, that help lead people, to one direction. Mm-hmm. And here on our show, we do the risks and rewards and make that explicit. So here are the risks to doing it. 1, it takes some time. And that time is also related to consistency. So Derrick and I tried to do the show at the same time every day. So 5:30 on Mondays, Eastern time. Sometimes we might have to push it back to 6 because we both run businesses.
Life.
And life as well, right? We get calls from family members right before. So that's the risk to do it, right? Time, and setting aside the time and having the consistency to stick to that time. And with that comes effort. So it's not just turning on the mic. We actually do some planning calls, right? And we do a debrief afterwards. So it's not haphazard. And that you need to bake that into your plans of, all right, how am I going to create my own content on a regular basis? 3 is opportunity cost. So if you decide to do a media venture like Derrick and I have, well, that comes at the cost of doing something else. That opportunity cost could be sleep, or it could be my going to the gym, because typically at the end of the workday, that's my second time of working out in a 2-a-day. But now I have to push it back, or perhaps be in danger of missing my second workout of the day. So just know that with every decision that you make, there's always an opportunity cost. And then the last risk that I see of doing it is the embarrassment. So if you tuned into last episode, right, we have a grand total of 11 subscribers, right? That's You know what that average is? That's 1 per episode. Right now, that's 1 per episode. So if you had this expectation of, you know what, first 2 months, I'm going to have 100 subscribers and thousands of views, then you might be embarrassed, right? But Derrick and I sort of set the expectations, not to set them low, but to let people know, you know what? We decided on doing this show on a whim on a phone call.
Literally.
So, and that was like 2 months ago. And of course, we consumed some podcasts, but we didn't quite know what this entailed. So we're learning as we go along. So we kind of treat season 1 as like the pilot season, and we're learning from it. And we have some developments that are going to happen because of going through this season 1 process. But yeah, we have 11 subscribers, and we encourage you all to subscribe, not just to get those numbers up, but we're focused on like the quality of the content that we'll deliver, but also the quality of our audience, like people who actually want to engage, people who send us the open office hours questions, and maybe follow up afterwards, people who reshare some of our content. And I know, look, we are trying to increase capacity. We're thinking about hiring someone to help with both marketing and cutting up the videos to share, more episodes. And we know that's going to come because we are authentically trying to help you all find the upside in your careers, in your businesses, in your professions. So we know that's coming. And, we've already had a couple of rewards, which we'll get to in a little bit. So those were the risks to not to do it, right? All that effort and time you got to put in, and, potential embarrassment. But here are the risks of not doing it, which are aligned with the rewards that Derrick mentioned. So if you don't do it, you lose out on this wonderful opportunity to assert yourself as a subject matter expert. There are a lot of people who are good at what you do. Now, if you want to be seen as an expert, then you either need to have amazing people around you who consistently highlight your work, who consistently amplify the impact that you make. And if you don't have that, no one's going to know. And it's up to you to advocate for yourself. That's why I don't hate too much on, the I'm proud to announce, posts on LinkedIn or Instagram, right? Because those folks may not be doing it just for the gram. It could be because they're not getting the support from their network to amplify the impact that they're having or the skills that they have. So it's up to them to advocate for themselves. So when you don't try to get into some sort of media content generation, then you're missing out on that opportunity to set yourself apart. 2, you don't know what opportunities may come about by doing your own podcast or doing your own show on YouTube, or even if you want to take it to the blog or having your own dedicated blog, right? So when you don't do it, then inherently you're closing out on potential opportunities. And I know, Derrick, you recently got an invite to do another podcast, right?
Yep.
So I don't think it's an accident that, we're on episode 11 and then that opportunity comes about, right? So if you want to speak on that opportunity, like, please do to illustrate the rewards.
Yeah. So, literally it was a random, probably Thursday or Friday. And I got an email out of nowhere saying like, hey, I'm looking at your LinkedIn. I saw that you're, like a co-host also. I wanted to learn more like about that, but also give you the chance to use my platform to talk more about your own business. So I sent you that screenshot right away. I was like, Cris, look, traction. So for me, like how I see that, like, even though, we, like I said, 11 subscribers, I can't tell you how happy I am about 11. I was happy when we had our first one. But now that we have a chance to kind of amplify the message that we're trying to tell everybody of, really looking at weighing the risks and rewards and finding your upside, whether it be for anything, your career, your business. Now I have a chance to tell that to another set of people that can come to our, a platform. So being able to kind of spread the seed, I think is great. So this is nothing but, like a positive for us. And this all came from, one, whether it be, on the LinkedIn, I don't do like a bunch of posts, but when I make a post, it's something that's, like hefty. So the fact that people can see that, and now they can refer to this to kind of see what I'm saying. Now they have a better sense of like, oh, Derrick he knows what he's saying, or Cris has a great take on this. So being able to do that, I think is great. And for us, for our branding, audio and video is how we're going to do it. So I think making that transition from our business to your career is just a simple switch.
Great points. And I will slip in some news.
What you got?
I finally got access to Twitter Spaces, which is the competitor to Clubhouse. So look out for some special initiatives that we're going to try on Twitter Spaces. And that's the next level of this show. And that is the next level of how we're using the rise of voice and audio for our own branding and our media goals.
So just to add on that, this is something that I probably read like before we jumped on this, but Facebook, they also did their own, voice, I guess like, like feature.
I saw it. Like I'm waiting to see the details of that announcement, but yes, I saw that too.
Yeah.
All right. But... So just to wrap that up, the main topic is clearly we're on the side of you all creating your own content and leveraging voice and audio for your own career branding. It's a light touch way for you to enhance your career profile. So we'll move on. And let's move on to our next segment, open office hours. So we got a really terrific question that's centered on AI. So I'm scared that AI and automation can take my job, which is a concern from many folks that we've talked to. And the question boils down to, how do I adapt to tech changing so fast?
Oof. I feel like a lot of jobs will be replaced by AI. But on the flip side, I think it is a plus, because a lot of the jobs that are going to be replaced are the jobs that, not saying that people don't want to do it, but it's the stuff that we can use something else to do. So, I'm pretty sure for you, I use the Zapier. Zapier is one of my favorite tools to ever use. It basically automates all of like tasks for me. So if someone sends me an email or they fill out a form, there's a whole sequence of processes that happen without me having to actually do that. So it takes away like that, that time of me just, writing emails and stuff like that. But I also want people to know that the human aspect of jobs is going to be something that is going to be a lot more useful. Yes, you can have a computer or some type of tech do something for you, but what about you talking to that person? I'd rather talk to somebody than go through like some type of like, some where I have to press 1 to talk to, or, press 1 to hear this, press 2 to hear that. I'd rather talk to an actual person. So even though that AI and like automation is replacing some parts of the jobs, I do think the human aspect is going to be something that a lot of companies are going to look for, much more now. Like they want to see that you're personable, that you have that type of, you're able to talk to people, you're able to kind of, I guess like de-escalate like any type of situation. So skills like that are going to be something that's going to be like very high. I hate the word, like I don't even use it no more, but like, people, no, it's not people skills.
Soft skills.
What's the word? Soft skills. See, like, so like
nothing soft. Nothing soft here.
Ain't nothing soft there for real. But those like people skills are going to be something that I think a lot of companies are going to focus on more. But how do you adapt to the tech? I think you should just embrace it. When you're given a tool that you can use to kind of speed up your job, I think that's helpful. And it gives you as the the employee or the business owner time to focus on like those bigger tasks. So don't be scared. I think you should embrace it and learn how to use this tech and just use that time and that extra time that you're going to be getting, because everything is, it can happen by itself, to really focus on those people skills and those like bigger tasks that are handled, like those big brain tasks where you have to really think of like ideas and formulate the processes and all that. So what's your take on it, Cris?
So jobs will be taken. I've heard and seen research like for every one robot, 5-6 jobs are lost. So it's going to happen. It's going to increasingly happen. And the question is, how do you adapt? So one, you could pick up the tech skills related to the creation of these technologies. Robotics, AI, you can do that. And we're involved in some tech programs that, help do that, right? It's help develop the talent to do that. So that's one way you can adapt. What I will say though is the way these fields like automation, like robotics and AI, they will always exceed your pace in adapting. It will always be ahead of you. It will increase that gap, right? So that's simply how it works, unless you are at the very forefront of creating these. Like those who were early in crypto, like those are the ones who have kept up.
I was literally about to cough crypto, but then you said it.
Everybody else, what they're really doing is hanging on, and that might be myself and you included, right? We're hanging on as much as we can. The second strategy is to look for the fields that are resistant to this. So there's a book called Future Proof. The author's name is escaping me right now. So you could look into a book called Future Proof that talks about the future of work. And I think from that book, but also so many other pieces of research and articles and the work that we've done, and like how you said about the human aspect. So jobs that require a high amount of emotional intelligence, those are very resistant to technology. So if you think about platforms that connect you to therapists, the technology only connects you to therapists. Mm-hmm. They can't do the actual work of a therapist. So that's the second strategy, right? Find these jobs that are centered on empathy and rely on emotional intelligence and master all the skills related to that. Then the third one, which is a kind of like a crazy thought here, find all the ways you can support universal basic income. Because the rise of UBI, the reason why people are calling for, a certain amount, like $500 a month for every family, is because they know that they can't stop the technology. They know from taking jobs. They know that. So how are people going to live? And this is one of the plans. So the fact that UBI as an idea even exists, we're going to give you money just because you exist, right? It's because of technology and it's eating away at jobs. So those are the three angles that you can kind of explore to adapt to the rise of AI and robots. So you either find ways to support universal basic income because you might need it, we might need it. Two, find these jobs that are centered on emotional intelligence. And three, learn those tech skills that allow you to be a leader in AI and robotics.
Yeah, there's something that you said. It was. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's kind of related, but they're kind of using tech to kind of upskill like their staff. But I was reading in the latest issue of the magazine. They're using VR for training. So H&R Block, basically during the entire COVID, uh, that was like around like tax season. So a bunch of people, since they couldn't like actually go there, their like call centers, they kind of like lost touch with people. So they had to kind of upskill them to kind of, yes, things are happening now to where you need to be able to talk to people now. So they use like VR to kind of to simulate, if I'm talking to a person, what are the certain things that I would say? And the big reason was so that people can improve on these people skills. Like that was the sole reason for using this tech. But you definitely hit the nail on the head when you said like just get to know like what's happening. I feel like if you're in security, that's a plus because everybody's virtual. So and everybody is able to hack. So rather than worrying about like, oh my God, like I can't get a job, like just learn a new skill, I think.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So great question for open office hours. Look, if you're watching us live, please type in a comment. It could be a question for our next episode, open office hours. So type that in, or you could hit us up on IG, wherever you see our Risk Reward Show tagged. Let's move on to close out. What's the right move right now for you, Derrick, besides Bitcoin, which took an 18% dip a couple of days ago?
And
That should be our trophy, actually, the physical Bitcoin right there.
Hey man, yeah, but what I will say, my right move right now, stock market's pretty. It's not as bloody as like it was for the past 2 weeks, but the crypto space is pretty bloody right now. But I say buy the dip, and also never be afraid to take your profits. I think it is your duty to take your profits whenever you're in the green. Don't feel ashamed. Don't get greedy. Well, don't get too greedy, but definitely buy the dip. Whenever anything happens and you see there's a dip, don't get scared and take your money out. This is your time to either put money in or just, find some. Well, yeah, this is your time to actually put more cash in. But yeah, that's my right move for right now, and I definitely bought all the dips.
So my first one is gonna be related to that. So I am gonna go to like 30% cash, around like 20% cash right now. And it's a matter of, look, I tried to press my bets. I got into all-time highs, which is great. I dipped down maybe like 12% below my all-time highs, and it did it twice. So I have like a double top. And I'm like, you know what? I think now's the time to just like chill a little bit, because the overall market is actually at all-time highs still. And even though I pulled back a little bit, I think it's time to raise some cash. So I cut some losses, just like I took some profits. I also cut some losses. Like, listen, I messed up here and there. I got too risky, right? Mr. Risk got a little too risky. So let me cut that down, a little bit of ease of mind. If it dips a little bit, I won't get hurt as much, but I'll have more cash. And speaking of which, I do have cash that I'm going to put into the account that, again, will help me buy dips a little bit later on. But I think it can get a whole lot better. And the things I'm hearing from India and Brazil on the resurgence of COVID, it's like devastating. Like, and that can be a good look, like for the global economy. It might be okay here because we got the vaccine rollout doing okay, but I don't think it's as good as the recovery won't be as good globally as a lot of people hoped. And the last thing is, I want justice for like everybody being shot by either mass shooters or cops. Like, there's so many to name. Like,
too many.
It doesn't stop. it's like relentless. And I know, folks want to mention how we don't speak on it as much. Like, we kind of stick to the point of the show, but we talk about this in private. We've mentioned things in almost every episode that deal with social justice, and from mass shootings to like killings by police officers. Like, I think the right move is to do what you can to advocate for like the victims of all this violence, because we can't keep doing this.
Yeah. For me, what I'll say is, I feel like everybody has their own platform. Everybody has their own way of like giving back. Make sure there's so much wrong going on in the world right now with regards to all of the the killings that have happened. The one that really got me was the 13-year-old that got shot. Like, what the hell? A 13-year-old, and I mean, it's I really don't know what to say to that, but I feel like for me and using my platform, being able to kind of talk about it, using my network to see who I can talk to really make change happen. The fact that I mean, I don't have the most pull, but I know people that are in Congress. So being like, hey, like, what are you doing like about this right here? Talking to like my the council members and stuff like that, like saying like, hey, like, how do we prevent this from happening here? So it doesn't have to be something that's like, like grandiose or something like that to where you have to put like a video out. But if you know there's wrong, just do something about it. That's all. It doesn't have to be crazy big. The fact that you're talking to somebody or just making someone aware of what's going on, and that, you're willing to help make that change or be that change, I think that's enough for you to do. I mean, there's always more that people could do, but I think just to start out, and if you're not sure, I think that's like the easiest way. It's just to use your platform, your network to kind of talk to those people and make people more aware of like what's happening.
Yeah. So Adam Toledo, that is by Chicago PD in Little Village. So I've actually stayed in Chicago, and I've stayed in that town in Little Village. So I got to know a bit about the community when I stayed there for a little bit. And when I saw the video, which you should only see once, because it's just horrific. And then Dante Wright over in Minneapolis. And we're about to hear like the Derrick Chauvin trial decision.
Once again, my name, I hate it.
Yeah. Sorry. But that state has, and I've been in that state too. I went to Prince's mansion, and I walked a lot of those streets because I when I visit a place, I like to kind of feel like a local.
Yeah.
And now I think I shouldn't have done that by myself because like that was like, I guess, dangerous because I'm a person of color. And then, the mass shootings, like the Sikh community in Indianapolis. So many victims everywhere. Our condolences are out to the families and the communities. And again, like sometimes you feel helpless, but the right move is to figure out one way to do what you can.
Yeah.
To fight for justice. We can't tell you what that is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, don't rely on thought leaders to tell you what to do. You know what's best for you. You know how you can make a change. Funny enough, I spoke to someone. There's a hiring manager that I know. They work in I know it's in Minnesota, but I don't know like which town. But for people who don't know, like Minnesota has like, that's the HQ of Target, Best Buy, 3M, a bunch of companies are there, like, and they're always hiring. But he like he was telling me, I'm like, well, he was telling me, he was like, yo, like we're trying to get more, people of color to come here. I'm like, nobody's gonna come there. I'm like, you see what's going on? But it's yeah, I feel like out there is just it's just like it's like the wild wild west. And for me and from you, I know like our prayers and thoughts go out to all of the families who were like impacted by this. But once again, like Cris just mentioned, the right move right now is do what you can to make that change, like Michael Jackson said.
On that note, we'll close out episode 11. We're looking forward to episode 12, which is the post second vaccine for Cris episode. Next week. So I'm excited for that. But again, subscribe, share, send a comment that might help us with our next open office hours question. But we hope to see you next week.
Awesome. Oh, we never thought of a jersey number or a person.
No worries. We'll
right.
figure that out later.
I was thinking Julio Jones.
So that was one that came to mind.
All right, cool. Yeah. Julio Jones it is. All right, everybody. See you all next week.
All right.